Welcome to this explainer. Have you ever felt like you're just going through the motions? Like you're running on fumes, trying so desperately to do the right thing, but deep down, you're just totally spiritually and emotionally burnt out? Well, you are absolutely not alone in that. Today, we're taking a really compassionate look at the architecture of a responsive heart. We're going to explore how to finally step out of that exhausting survival mode and into a space of genuine natural growth. So if you've been feeling stuck or just really tired, take a deep breath. You are exactly where you need to be. Let's dive right into this. I want you to really sit with the question on the screen for a second. Where have you felt hard lately? And hey, I don't mean physically. I mean emotionally, spiritually, or mentally. Maybe there's a relationship where you've just built up a massive wall. Or maybe there's a specific topic or a memory that makes you instantly shut down. We rarely pause to actually assess our own emotional exhaustion, mostly because we're just too busy trying to survive the day. But creating a safe little space to ask yourself this right now, that is step one toward healing.
All right, section 1, the heavy heart, diagnosing survival mode.
So, to really understand this exhaustion, we're going to look at an ancient text from the book of Ezekiel, specifically chapter 36, verse 26, which talks about this fascinating concept called the stony heart. Now, usually when we hear the phrase hard heart, we instantly picture some cartoon villain, right? Someone aggressively arrogant, loud, and openly rebellious. But what if we've been completely misdiagnosing it? Actually, a heart of stone often looks like just feeling completely numb, even when you genuinely want to feel joy or compassion. It looks like repeating those same hurtful patterns over and over, but feeling totally powerless to hit the brakes. It's guarding yourself so tightly that absolutely nothing new, no new love, no new ideas, no new grace can get in. It's knowing exactly what the right thing to do is, but literally having zero desire or strength to pull it off. I really want to validate this for you right now. A hard heart is so often just quiet, heavy exhaustion. It is an emotional shutdown. It is sheer survival mode. You're probably not rebelling. You might just be incredibly, deeply tired. Moving on to section 2, anatomy of ancient hearts, beyond emotion. To actually fix this exhaustion, we kind of need to hop in a time machine. We have to understand our inner workings the way the ancients did when these texts were first written, because honestly, it completely changes the diagnosis. See, in our modern Western world, we love to separate the head and the heart. We figure the head is for, cold hard logic, and the heart is just for messy emotions. But the biblical understanding of the heart, it's completely different. It was seen as the core seat of your will, your thinking, your desires, your instincts. It's the whole shebang, your entire internal compass. Think of it like your personal operating system. So when ancient scriptures talk about a stony heart, they aren't just saying your feelings got hurt. They're saying your entire internal operating system has basically locked up and frozen. Which brings us to section 3, rewiring your operating system, desire versus behavior. If the heart is your entire internal drive, then the core promise of Ezekiel 36:26 isn't just some nagging command to behave better. No way. It's actually a profound promise of a completely new internal drive. The text talks about receiving a new spirit. So what's the thought process behind this? It means our exhausting, hyper-defensive motives get fundamentally uninstalled. Think about it. We so often operate on fear-driven motives, doing things just because we're terrified of failing, or hurt-driven motives, acting out just to protect ourselves from getting burned again, or even pride-driven motives. A new spirit means these old, clunky codes are entirely replaced, and God-driven strength and connection are installed right in their place. Listen, this is absolutely crucial. This is not just a quick software patch. It's not a temporary emotional band-aid or a 5-step self-help fix. It is a total spiritual rewiring. Out with the old system, in with the brand new. And that brings us to this massive, game-changing difference. On one side, we have behavior change. This is your classic forced religious obedience. This is waking up and groaning, I have to do the right thing today. And then just dragging yourself through the mud, fighting your own nature every single step of the way just to be a halfway decent person. It's like forcing yourself to bite your tongue when your kids are being super loud entirely out of duty. Let's be real, it is completely exhausting. But on the flip side, we have desire change. I want to do right. God doesn't just say, hey, I'm going to make you act better. He says, I will actually change what you naturally want. It's waking up and genuinely wanting to show patience because your heart is actually at peace. Just imagine how incredibly freeing it is when obedience goes from being this forced, white-knuckled chore to simply being the natural, easy outpouring of what your heart genuinely wants. Let's look at Section 4, Surrendering the Struggle, the Uncomfortable Truth.
I want to let this uncomfortable truth really sink in for a second. Discipline is just not enough if the heart itself is resisted. Honestly, this is exactly why we get so unbelievably tired. We try so hard to soften our own hearts by sheer human effort. We read all the self-improvement books, we set the daily alarms, we try to grit our teeth and just be more patient or be more loving. But guess what? You cannot permanently soften a literal stone by yelling at it or whacking it with a hammer. Trying to change your core nature solely through your own brute willpower, it's basically impossible.
And that is the fundamental difference we're unpacking today in this explainer. Trying harder versus surrendering. True transformation isn't some rigid command that you have to execute through pure, exhausting grit. It's actually a promise you receive through surrender. It's finally throwing your hands up and admitting, look, my operating system is broken and no amount of trying harder is going to fix it. I need a whole new one. You don't manufacture a tender heart. You surrender the stony one and you allow it to be gently, completely replaced.
Okay, Section 5, Real-Life Transformation, the Quiet Shifts.
Now, you might be wondering, okay, but what does this actually look like on a random Tuesday afternoon? Well, real-life transformation is rarely some big dramatic movie scene. Usually, it's a quiet, internal, sort of chronological progression. So, moment 1, a trigger happens. A coworker sends a super passive-aggressive email, or maybe your spouse mentions that one thing that always starts a fight. In the past, you'd probably just shut down or blow up. But then, moment 2 happens. You feel this gentle conviction instead of that old, stony numbness. You actually feel your conscience working. Then, moment 3, you actively choose forgiveness instead of holding tightly onto those old defense mechanisms. And finally, moment 4, you realize you actually desire peace way more than you desire being right or getting sucked into the chaos. That right there, that is the quiet timeline of a responsive, tender heart in action.
And suddenly, it hits you, this absolutely beautiful realization. You notice you are simply not who you used to be. You react completely differently to things that used to completely derail your day. Your inner voice suddenly aligns with truth instead of constantly fighting against it. When your desires have changed like that, obedience isn't a chore anymore. It's just who you are now. It becomes crystal clear that you haven't just learned a few neat coping mechanisms. You have become fundamentally different at your absolute core. Let's actually look at the exact words of this ancient promise one more time. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. I will remove from you your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh. That's Ezekiel 36:26. Just let the full weight of that promise land on you for a second. It is a promise of deep, profound psychological and spiritual rewiring. It is God offering to gently reach in, remove all that exhaustion, that numbness, that constant survival mode, and replace it with a heart of flesh, one that feels, responds, and actually lives fully. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Instead of just hearing about this, I want you to really sit inside it today. If your heart became tender again, what would actually change? How would your relationships look? How would your mornings feel? What would a life driven by natural, God-given desire rather than exhausting, forced obedience look like for you? The promise is right there, just waiting for you to simply surrender and receive it. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking those big questions and keep growing. Catch you next time.